Hey everybody, Nick here, and greetings from scenic Leahy, Utah. Nick, why the heck are you in Leahy, Utah, you might ask? Well, I was just up the highway for work, and I figured I'd drive on down. But Nick, you're a knife reviewer, not a locations in Utah reviewer. What the heck? Well, turns out there's something interesting for knife reviewers over here in Leahy, Utah. That's right, this is the HQ of the blades. Sadly, I'm not getting paid anything for this video. I'm not getting paid a whole lot of anything for a whole lot of anything, but that's okay. My goal is to head on in there, and I've got a list of about 35 knives from their collection I would like to handle. I'm going to see if I can't take a video or two inside and see what they can say. But at the very worst case scenario, I'm going to come away with a whole bunch of interesting impressions for you all, and post some follow-up videos and talk a little bit about what I learned. Either way, I hope this is going to be interesting and that I'm going to have myself a wonderful rest of the day. Hey everybody, Nick here, and greetings from the BladeHQ. I've been here handling just a variety of gems, and I'm going to have some impressions for you coming up here soon. And may even be making some purchases. Oh, it's dangerous. Never handle a custom Druid by Rassenti. Anyways, I'll let you know more when I know more, but this is a heck of a place and the people here are very, very nice. Okay, so I'm back at home now, and I'm in the studio, in other words, my office. And I do want to share with you some of the impressions I had here. And wanting to be sure about what I say about some things, I'm actually going to hold off on talking about the knives that I found really uninteresting, or that I kind of just went like, you know what, no, we're good. Because, you know, I don't really know whether I can tell an absolute turd in 2 minutes. Maybe things might grow on me a little bit. Maybe I just didn't get it. So I'm only going to talk about the knives that I liked and the knives that I loved. And again, these are all preliminary impressions. Some of these knives may be way better than I realized. After, you know, spending 2 months, I might think, oh, wow, this is a revelation. When, you know, I was just okay with it here. And on the other side, though, some of these knives may end up being way worse. I actually carry it and realize, oh, man, this is a piece of junk. Something like that. So, you know, just keep that in mind. I'd love to do a long-term review of anything I mention on here. But for now, I'm just going to kind of give my basic, quick thoughts and impressions here. And like I said, you never know. So take any of this that you hear with a grain of salt. So let's talk a little bit about some of the knives that I really liked. Okay, first off, the ZT-0804CF. This is a new design by ZT, and it's got a great action, and it's got a great design. I like the squared-off look to it. In the hand, this was a really compelling little knife. I wish they did it without a DLC, and honestly, if they did, I'd have walked out with it. But I'd still love to check one of these out and do a full review on it, because I was pretty impressed by this little guy here. So that's one thing. The Spyderco Mamba is another knife that was pretty impressive to me in that it is gorgeous. It's pretty, it's got great carbon fiber, the blade finish two-tone thing is pretty excellent. It's also a little thick in the pocket. It's got a little bit of jimping right underneath the flipper tab, which cuts at your finger. It's pretty expensive at $325, and let's face it, it's a little bit ridiculous. And so this isn't exactly a knife you whip out in the lunchroom to, you know, cut up an apple, unless you've got a very special kind of lunchroom. But as an art knife, as something that's meant to be really pretty and really interesting first and foremost, pretty damn compelling. No complaints there. This is the Reate, or Reate, I think is the way they were pronouncing it, District 9. I can't say it's the most creative design, and it's pretty huge in the hand. It's not my style necessarily, but it is really great in terms of the action. The action on this is good, and the fit and finish overall was pretty decent. You know, I would have liked to see a slightly better CNC finish on there, but nonetheless, I'm very impressed with the overall construction of this guy, even if it ain't my style. This is the Rike 1504A. In a lot of ways, it reminded me of the ZT-0456, and honestly, if I was Dmitry Sinkovich, I'd be a little angry. But that said, the action on this guy, oh, and with a little bit of Marfione Annex going on up top there with the fuller there. But nonetheless, it's got a really good action, and the overall fit and finish was good. I was pretty impressed with this little guy otherwise. I don't often talk about automatics because they're not legal around here, and frankly, I don't feel I need to. But I got to handle a couple of them at BladeHQ, because why not? This is the Microtech Troodon, And honestly, it was great. If I wanted to buy an out-the-front automatic knife, this would be it, 100%. It's much nicer in the action than the Ultratech, and just, it felt great. The action was stellar, it was nicely built. I'm not a big fan of proprietary screws, but it was pretty damn good. So I like this as an automatic. This is about as close as you're going to come to me reviewing one, so there you go, enjoy. This is the Microtech Halo, which is tiny here, but is huge in person. I mean, this is a giant chunk of LMAX that pops out the damn thing. Absolutely ginormous. I expected that to be about the size of the Ultratech, when in reality, I mean, I could hold this thing in a two-hand grip. So it's huge, and it's hilarious, but it's got a great action. It's got a really hard kick. It doesn't have a safety, which means you press this button, that blade is coming out of there. And unlike a lot of your off-the-fronts, there's nothing stopping the blade. It won't go off the rails. So if you hit that button, it's going to punch through whatever the hell it needs to in order to get out of there. Which I can see, I guess, maybe being helpful in high-speed, low-drag tactical operations, but it also means that you need to carry it in the sheath. My impression of the Halo is that it is absolutely ridiculous, absolutely unnecessary, but absolutely entertaining. So if you ever get a chance to handle one, I encourage you to do so, carefully at first. And then finally on my good but not oh my god list is the Benchmade Amicus. Whoa, I'm talking nice things about Benchmade, but this guy actually did impress me. Because the action on it was very nice. This is an assisted knife, and in a lot of ways what this is it's a flipper emissary. There's a little tiny flipper tab that pops around the back there, and when you press the flipper tab, it puts the blade out just enough that the assist takes it out over. This is not a flipper in the conventional sense, like there's not a good detent or anything like that. That little tab allows you to trigger the assisted blade, basically. It does have a safety, and it very much needs one, because that little flipper tab is not hard to press. But, and it's a little bit pricey, because it's a Benchmade. But nonetheless, this guy did impress me. I didn't walk out of there wanting to buy it, because I'm not an assisted knife guy. But if you are, and you want a nice upgrade to the emissary, this is a great place to look. They did impress me there. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the knives that I didn't just like, but I loved. Alright, knives I loved. This is the first one, and that's the Rike 1507, and I Rike this knife a lot. Get it? Anyways, it's a Chinese company, but they put in a great action. They've got a great design. Honestly, it looks like something Optimus Prime, the Transformer, would wear in a belt sheath. Really cool looking. It's a little bit long, but it's a solid choice. If you like the look of it and you're willing to put up with a big blade, then I would go for this. It's a nice little knife, and I'd love to do a full review on it. Like I said, very cool, and I appreciate how unique it is. This looks like nothing else in the knife world right now, and that's pretty unusual. So, good job on that one, Rike. Speaking of Chinese companies, here's another one, the We Knife 601. And on this particular model, the black blade, of course, left me a little bit cold, but the action on it was really, really good. Well, not quite Norseman good, but it was very compelling, especially given the price. The grind on it is also interesting. They do a they do a variable kind of, I don't envy being the next guy to sharpen this, but they did a very nice little job grinding this guy. Another thing I like about it is that you got your hardware here. This is a proprietary screw, as you can see here. But the thing is, they actually give you a tool to fix that proprietary screw, to unscrew it, which is kind of a beautiful thing. If you're gonna use proprietary hardware, then damn it, give me the tools to do it. And they went one further, and they actually give you a second set of hardware. That comes with the yellow, but they also give you a set in purple. And that lets you choose, according to your fancy, and frankly, well, for whatever reason, what hardware you want to put on there. So that's nice. I like that. And so if you like the look of this guy, I encourage you to go wee all the way home. Good deal. I'd love to pick some more of these up, the Wii brand, in the future to see what they're doing. Yeah, so there you go. The Reate Wave, Reate, whatever the heck it is another knife that impressed me. The inlay drives me a little bit crazy. A machinist buddy of mine was talking about how it's kind of apparently a very lazy pattern. So I'm not a big fan of the inlay, but that said, the action on this guy was absolutely stellar. The blade shape is good. The full flat grind is nice. I mean, basically, if I hadn't just bought a Neon a couple of weeks, Shirogorov Neon that is, before looking at this guy, I probably would have walked out of there with a Reate Wave. Really impressive little knife. So if you're kind of on the fence and you'd like to get a knife with a high-end action, this is a good way to do it. And it's not all that expensive. So, and it's smaller. For a long time, Reate was only doing these huge knives, and I appreciate that they're going down in size a little bit. So, yeah, that's a very compelling knife. This guy is the Rockstead Kou, or Kou, or whatever the heck you want to say it. And holy crap, it doesn't look like much in the picture, but this is a black DLC blade. But the thing is, it's DLC'd and then mirror polished. So this section down here is mirror polished. And they've mirror polished that much, and I mean a perfect mirror, ZDP 189 steel, which is really, really hard. And they run it at an absurd hardness. I forget exactly what numbers they quoted me, but I was just like, oh my God. And it's very, very, very sharp. This is the sharpest knife I have seen out of a box, period. I'm absolutely blown away by that. And it was very smooth on the washers. It's, you know, a washer-based knife. And the action was really nice. It was just really compellingly well made. The only thing that left me a little bit cold was the Stingray inlay there, because I don't see the need for it. But everything else about this knife was, in a lot of ways, very zen. It's the mastery of materials. They have done ZDP, holy crap, well. They have made the handles really well. They've done a DLC that I actually like. This is a great knife, and I'm just kind of blown away by it. It was really impressing me. Another knife that blew me away was this guy here. That's the Reate Wave for scale. And that's this guy, the Olamic Wayfarer 247. And this was one heck of a knife, because the action on it was great. Really, really great. Just really incredible. Not quite Norseman, but really good. The workmanship on it was equally great. The Damascus inlays, everything worked really well on this guy. The ergonomics on this, pardon me, also really great. Big fan of it in the hand. And although it was a little bit big, it was absolutely tempting. I thought very hard about maybe trying to bring one of these guys home with me. It didn't help that I knew that the TSA would have a crack at whatever I put in there, so, you know, I didn't want it to disappear from my baggage on the journey home. But still, I put some serious thought into this, and I've been casually looking around on forums to see what these guys are going for, how often, ever since I saw this. So that's probably some high praise. If you're looking at the Wayfarer 247, you have my permission. It's a great knife. There's this guy, and I didn't take a picture because I'm an idiot. But I just used the one from their website, and oh, man, this is a Rassenti Druid. Peter Rassenti is a custom knife maker. This is one of his customs. It wasn't the most ornamented knife. It wasn't the most beautiful, but holy crap, was this well done. I mean, oh my God, wow. The action on it was incredible, right? In the same, it was hanging out with the Norsemen, with the Shiros, that kind of thing. The construction on it was incredible. It's an integral handle, which means that there is just one piece of titanium that is the handle, and you insert the blade and bearings into there. So it's, you know, it is absolutely rock simple. Very impressive. And honestly, the whole thing was just stellar. And this was the knife where it kind of hurt me to hand it back over the counter. The guy, you know, so are you done with the Rassenti? Yeah, I guess. Because it was $2,000 and I couldn't take it home at $2,000. But it's like that really cute puppy at the shelter that you look at. You want to bring him home, but you know you can't. But you want to so bad, and you feel bad because you're just sending him back into BladeHQ's vault, and he's just going to hang out there for years. But, oh, anyways, I'm maybe personifying or puppyifying a little bit more than I should, but I felt real bad leaving this guy there. This was a really nice knife, and it was dangerous. So, but overall, as I said earlier, the store was great. Visiting BladeHQ was a lot of fun. And they were really kind to me. They were true knife nerds. I could very much tell this. And once they kind of figured out that I wasn't just there to see a switchblade, or, you know, the kinds of random jackasses who looky-loos, once they figured out that, you know, I actually had a real interest and passion, the guys behind the counter were great. They pulled every single knife I asked for, and that must have been like 35 knives. And, you know, they were recommending others, like, oh, have you seen, like, the Wii wasn't on my list, the Wii knives. And have you seen these? These guys are great. That was a great experience. So if you ever get a chance and you're in the Leahy, Utah area, it's like 45 minutes south of Salt Lake, I really highly recommend you go buy the BladeHQ. They impressed the heck out of me. I'm going to be giving them some of my business here in the future. And, yeah. So, there you go. I hope this was at least somewhat interesting to you. And again, like I said, take this as all preliminary. I may be way better on some of these. Some of these may be way worse. But, and if you got one of these to send me, oh, you would be my best friend. But, anyways, hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourself an absolutely wonderful rest of the day. I know I sure did.